Now that Joe Biden has officially been sworn in, we can now conclusively rule what everyone knew a long time ago. Q was fake, gay, and wrong. Even so, it's still an understatement to say how shocking it is that so many people bought into the baseless QAnon conspiracy theory, along with countless election fraud conspiracies as well. A recent poll found that 1/3 of Americans believe that voter fraud helped Joe Biden win the 2020 election. Approximately 25% of Americans think the coronavirus was planned by a group of all-powerful elites, and still another poll found 56% of Republicans believe the QAnon conspiracy. This misinformation reached a dangerous boiling point when these conspiracy theorists took their radical beliefs to the streets and raided the Capitol. This disturbing event was especially eye-opening for me because this hit really close to home. I have friends and family who were at the January 6th protests and later defended the riots by claiming it was in fact Antifa who stormed the Capitol. I have friends and family who have gone down a dark path of deception, buying into countless conspiracy theories about election fraud, big tech, and even vaccines. We talk a lot about how this country is getting more and more divided, and the stats on Americans believing conspiracy theories seem kinda surreal until you realize someone you've known your whole life is a full-blown conspiracy theorist. As this was becoming more and more apparent, I couldn't help but ask myself, why? Why are so many people, particularly older Americans, falling into an abyss of lies? And what is really going on inside their heads? Well, this led me to my good friend Google, where I began researching this topic. Of course, the obvious is that Donald Trump peddled consistent conspiracy theories because the only way for him to actually look good was to deny reality. This definitely played a role, but I wanted to understand this at a deeper level. Trump didn't just turn Americans into conspiracy theorists, he tapped into something that was already there. There's a reason why older Americans specifically are more prone to conspiracy theories. The first reason why is simply because of how boomers, the majority of which voted Trump, use the internet. Although this generation is using tech and social media, they don't have the same skepticism about certain sources. For example, one of the early Q posts tried to make it appear that Q was connected to Trump and or predicting the future. Q made a post with 3 plus signs, and according to the viral image, only 7 minutes later, Trump made a tweet with 3 plus signs. This may look convincing enough for some people. Boomers are 19 times more likely to share political content, and boomers are even using social media at higher rates than millennials. So with that in mind, it's not hard to understand why something like this rather convincing image could spread so easily. Of course, when you analyze the photo, it becomes obvious that the timestamps were manipulated, and the Q post was actually made after Trump's tweet with the 3 pluses. There are psychological predictors of conspiratorial beliefs as well, one of the most obvious being anxiety, fear, and control. It's no secret that our society is facing a mental health epidemic, and studies have shown boomers have lower insight into mental health, as well as being more likely to avoid treatment. If you're already dealing with anxiety and fear, conspiracies can act as an explanation for some of the world's complexities, and they give the conspiracy theorist a sense of superiority and control. Conspiracies offer instant gratification or a sense of control over their lives and a sense of superiority over others, says David Ludden, a professor of psychology. Our brains are also developed to recognize patterns. In fact, according to a Johns Hopkins neurologist, superior pattern processing is the essence of the evolved human brain. Indeed, our brain has evolved in a dangerous environment where the ability to fill in the blanks, to guess the whole from a few parts, conferred important survival advantages. If I can make out from a distance the hidden predator in the bushes, I'm more likely to survive. Thus, our brain came to specialize in meaning making and pattern finding. This can be detrimental, however, because our brains seek order and intentionality, but the world is unpredictable and chaotic. So when we're stressed, our brains are compelled to fill in the blanks, to offer a story that satisfies our desire for order and intentionality. A video game designer explains how when designing certain plot lines or clue-based puzzle games, apophenia is a wildcard game developers have to look out for. Apophenia is the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. The video game designer goes on to explain how the QAnon conspiracy specifically targets this very mindset. If you are a designer and have puzzles and have a plot, then apophenia is a wild card you always have to be concerned about. QAnon is a mere reflection of this dynamic. Here, apophenia is the point of everything. There are no scripted plots, there are no puzzles to solve created by game designers, there are no solutions. By using apophenia, QAnon believers are led on a breadcrumb trail away from reality. They're given a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment when they believe they've successfully made sense of the random clue posted by Q. Narcissism, an elevated feeling of self-love, is another link to conspiratorial thinking. Narcissism is positively associated with paranoid thinking, as narcissists are perceiving the actions of others intentionally targeted against themselves. Such perceptions, again, are linked to conspiracy beliefs. Recent studies found that boomers are more hypersensitive and have more narcissistic tendencies than newer generations. Narcissism plays directly into two more elements of a conspiratorial mindset: confirmation bias and belief preservation. First, humans naturally become attached to information that confirms what we already believed, and once we settle on an explanation, we work to preserve that belief regardless of evidence. Thus, ironically, once we settle on a belief, however diluted or implausible, we're highly likely to seek and believe information that supports it while rejecting any data to the contrary, however plausible, as false or diluted. The science? All the scientists are lying. Conspiracies are also appealing to people who lack confidence and self-esteem. Conspiracy theories thrive within groups, and they offer people a community and a feeling of belonging. There are many parallels between the lacerations of childhood trauma and the ways in which they are mended by conspiracy beliefs. Psychologist Sabrina Romoff explains, this includes the need for validation, being certain in reality, consistency in belief system, security, control, and maintaining a positive image of oneself. Although boomers are more susceptible simply because they're more unwilling to get the help when needed, conspiracy theories can be used as a coping mechanism for people of all ages. Psychology Today explains how conspiracy theories are at their core about community, which is our most tribal impulse, the need to belong. Conspiracy theories are group phenomena shared by communication rituals that help adherents manage emotions by transforming unspecific anxieties into focused fears. David Ludden, a professor of psychology, says this is one way to assuage feelings of social isolation and low self-esteem, although it's not especially effective in the long term. This is why more often than not, conspiracy theories appear when large groups of people are traumatized at the same time. Of course, this was only a brief summary of the countless psychological predictors which can lead people towards conspiracy theories, and you never know what's really going on inside someone's head, but it can help to try and understand. It's important to remember that although conspiracy theorists are easy and rather fun to clown on, they are still real people who are coping with the complexities of this world, depression, anxiety, feeling isolated, or a number of other things. Conspiracy theorists are often taken advantage of by media talking heads that capitalize off their fear and instill more fear and uncertainty, leading some people into a vicious cycle of fear, conspiracy theories, and the desperate attempt to regain control. My heart genuinely goes out to my friends and family because I feel bad for them. They're good people who were lied to and led astray, and whether the susceptibility to these dangerous ideas are rooted in depression, narcissism, anxiety, or simply just being a boomer, I think it's important we try and understand so we can force all these conspiracy theorists to take a vaccine directly in their brain, which will alter their DNA and make them smart again. I'm kidding. Don't get your X-Files panties in a wad. It's obviously important when it comes to arguing with conspiracy theorists, and whether it's your friends or your family, understanding their mind might just help you change it.